Hey everybody, and welcome back to another book review. I just finished a book that I was actually reading for work. It is a brand new book, just came out in May, and it is called The Tenacious Nurse Nichols, an unsung African American Civil War hero by Eileen Yanoviak. I think I said her last name correctly. Yanoviak makes the most sense. But it's an interesting book. The reason I was reading this is because at my job, my second job, not teaching, but at the museum that I work at, we have some people that are part of Indiana history that are Black African Americans, and they have some very powerful stories, and Lucy Nichols is one of them. And so we wanted to expand some programming and do a little bit more museum theater revolving around those characters. And so I was asked to write some of that programming. And so the first one that we did is, of course, the Lucy Nichols story. And so Lucy Nichols, she is a woman who was a nurse during the Civil War. She did some other things, but nursing was her primary kind of occupation during the war. She has no formal training. She has no background in nursing. You know, it's just a lot of what is known as mother's medicine. And so within that, she does this for about 3 years during the Civil War. After the Civil War, not just Lucy, but like tons of other women are like, hey, we should get paid because, you know, we did work. Some of the soldiers still hadn't even gotten their full pensions, or their widows hadn't gotten full pensions, and so there was this big kind of push during, more so after Reconstruction, where people are like, yo, you need to pay us, like seriously. And so Congress kind of puts out a thing saying like, okay, fine, like if you were a nurse and you can prove that, you know, you worked for at least 6 months and all the things, then we will give you your pension. They, for the most part, kind of worded it so that it would really kind of only appeal to middle to upper class white women, most of whom were the ones that were actually enrolled correctly through the Dorothea Dix schooling and everything with nursing that put them in the positions to be nurses. Lucy Nichols was not one of those women, obviously, but she and several other folks were like, okay, yeah, but like some of us weren't, like we didn't go through Dorothea Dix, we were just kind of appointed as a nurse, we should still get paid. So there's this big kind of movement, there's a lot of back and forth with Congress. Lucy Nichols began submitting her pension request in 1892. Note that the Civil War ended in 1865. So like there's been a huge gap in time, and she does not receive her pension. It's a lot of back and forth until 1898. So that is her whole story, and I won't say too much more about that. If you want to know more about her story, you can read the book or come see our programming. Next time we're hosting it is July 17th, 2025. So come on out to Counter Prairie for that. Shameless plug. But in terms of the book, I got very excited when I heard there was a book coming out about Lucy Nichols. Granted, it came out after I wrote the programming, so like I will be going back and doing some edits and tweaks and stuff to kind of make it make a little bit more sense and align with new information that we've learned. But this Eileen Yanoviak, she is a doctorate. She holds a PhD, I should say. And she used to work in New Albany, which is where Lucy Nichols wound up settling for the rest of her life. The problem that I have with this book, and a lot of books in general, is when it comes to history, if there's not a ton of information, is that people spend more time focusing on other areas of history in those periods that they're talking about. And this is the same case. So this book is titled The Tenacious Nurse Nichols, and there is nothing in it that suggests that Lucy Nichols was not tenacious. However, it's very minimal. Obviously, Lucy Nichols' story, like many other folks, especially those who were formerly enslaved, we don't have a ton of information about their lives, unless they told somebody and somebody wrote it down in the past, which no one did. So there's just not a lot of information. So a lot of it is, likely this would have happened, or this is what we do know. So there's not a ton of information there, which means that in general, this book could have been very, very short. It's already very short. It's only about 170 some odd pages. So it's very, very short. But in that, it's a lot of just like, here's, like one line that's like, this might have happened to Lucy because, and then explain something else about that time period, about the Civil War. There's a lot of information about women slave owning, because the family that Lucy Nichols came from, the Higgs family, so her full name is Lucy Higgs Nichols, but the Higgs family was the family that owned her, and she moved around a lot between all of the children in the Higgs family, but she spent a good chunk of time with one of the daughters. And so the book talks a lot about women slave owning, which is a deep, dark dive in history that I actually spend a lot of time in. So that information is cool to me, but it's not going to be cool to everybody else. And they talk a lot about nursing, talk about some of the battles, specifically the siege at Vicksburg, which is where Lucy's daughter, who was about 3, 4, 5, passed away. Not because of the violence or anything. She just likely caught camp fever or something that just made her sick. Plus, she's a child, so she doesn't have a strong immune system yet. So there's a lot about Vicksburg. There's a lot about some of the other journeys that Lucy Nichols went on and did. But it just makes me angry that the book spends more time on other stuff and not just on her. And then is still titled about her. I just feel like it's kind of unfair. Not to say that the writing is bad or anything. The information is really good. I will say, the author is very repetitive with certain statements and sentences. You already said that. And then 2 pages later, she'll say the exact same thing. So there's that. I don't know if they're I don't know if this is a personal publication, like the author published on her own. Assuming so, because it's Lions Press, which is a smaller print group. But overall, I'm gonna give the book a 3. I want to give it more just because I'm a history nut and I love history stuff, but I cannot in good conscience. I do appreciate also that the author does state at the beginning of the book, she's like, I understand I'm not black, and so me telling the story is just because I know the information, and so I just wanted to share it, not because she's trying to oversell the story. That said, this little tiny book, look how tiny this book is. Like I said, it's a really short book, $30. This, it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me. Love the information overall. Like I said, I'm going to give it a 3, but it's just, I wanted it to be more, and I know there's not a ton of information, but I've read better biographies than this, and especially as a historian, I just felt like it could have been better. I don't know. So yeah, there you have it, the Tenacious Nurse Nichols. If you're interested in anything about the Civil War, that time period, and what nurses went through, there is actually a lot of information in there about that. So if you're interested in that, cool, great. I just think it's a mistitled book overall. So there you have it. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please continue to like, comment, share, subscribe if you so choose. Thank you those of you that have come over from my husband's channel to listen to book reviews. Love having you here. Really appreciate you all. Yeah, I think that's it. So I will see you guys in the next book review. Bye.